I can remember when people were like really super outraged at like these like quote unquote, Instagram influencers or Twitch influencers. And there was these girls who were going on there. And I remember when girls started getting into Twitch streams and they started making videos themselves. Now, of course, what the first thing they do is to get guys to, eyes on the screen is to show up with, with cleavage. That's pretty much all they're doing. And then they're talking about games and everything. And of course, guys that you have the guys who are going to simp for her, and then you have the guys who are going to come into the chat to criticize the guys who are simping for her, and then don't realize that they're actually helping her out by criticizing the guys who are actually simping for this girl. Yeah. And then do you guys remember this? I think this was back in like 2018 or 2017, 2018. And when Twitch has been around for a while, but like, I remember when I first became aware of women sort of getting into the Twitch sphere, and they would show up in like bikinis, or they'd show up in like, it wasn't so much about the game anymore. It was about like a hobby, or it was something else that they were doing. Yeah. And they'd show up in like, so it was like this escalation. They show up in like a tight sweater, and then they'd be playing games, and then they show up in a bikini, like a bikini top, and then they'd be playing games. And it got to the point where they're like, okay, screw it, I'm going to do a body painting Twitch. Right. And I remember there was this like influx of all these women who would come on there, and they would just be, topless, but they would have, paint. It was like a body painting thing. So it's technically a hobby. And so people weren't like, of course the guys didn't care about that. And it took a little while for the girls to catch up and go, this is just TNA, right? And I don't know if they kicked them off or not. And I think Twitch has been changing things up recently. But what I do remember is that when those girls came on, and this wasn't just related to Twitch, but this was other sites as well. Cam girls, OnlyFans wasn't even really a thing back then, or wasn't what it is now. But they would go on, they would collect all this money. They would have their pay pigs, right? They'd have their simps, and they would take that money, and then they would go to like, I don't know, Aruba, and they'd be on the beach somewhere and go, oh, love my simps, thanks for paying for this, suckers. Me and my boyfriend are here, and we're loving every minute of it. Thanks for fun, bankroll.
Well, this is what the most fucked up thing about female grifting is. Rule 1 of business: you don't insult the customer. And it kind of creates a mini culture of customers that enjoy being insulted, because I guess it's like the creeps that would like a chick that stomps on their balls or something. Yeah. It's like they can eroticize anything to a certain degree. I guess the only cool thing that to its credit Twitch is doing is they have banned the word simp from the monetization. You can't be monetized, or you can't say simp on there. So at least Twitch has made a little bit of an effort to try to at least not exploit the simp economy that their platform can be, in a way. Yeah. Yeah. I do you think that, like, okay, so I mean, when I was reading the Vice article here, they're like, we're going to disrupt the simp economy. We're going to disrupt the creator economy. Yeah. Talk about. I mean, does this even have, like, do these, like, off the wall NFTs, does that even have the possibility of doing something like that?
I don't think it has the longevity to do it, but I also think that it's doesn't have to like destroy something to disrupt, and disrupt is just like changing it for a different avenue. And it kind of does, because in the same aspect of how we said like NFTs leave that bad taste in your mouth, that is leaving bad taste in people's mouth for the entire like sphere.
Right. That's right. It's a simp sphere.
Yeah.
The simposphere.
Simp sphere.
Yeah. I mean, so like when I see like these chicks going off and, like I said, doing selfies in Aruba or whatever, and then now we're finding ways to sort of commercialize that. I don't want to say commercial, like industrialize that. They're like automating this with really, blockchain essentially is what they're doing. I tell you what the funny thing is like we were just saying a second ago, how like we will put up with this crap for women, but if it's a guy, God forbid, it's 3 guys actually have a good, want to come together and do this for a good cause and really, tag our names to it, then we get a flagpole for that shit. But the other part of this is that, because we're used to sort of forgiving women this, or like in some cases just outright participating in that kind of thing, the idea is now that if these women are out there and they're already like internet influencers or stars or something like that, like say you take a Belle Delphine. Belle Delphine, what is she best known for is selling her bathwater. And then there's this other chick, and stop sending me these goddamn stories, okay? But like the chick who's like selling farts in a jar or something like that, and that's awful. And making the news for doing something like that, and wouldn't be making the news if guys weren't actually buying farts,
creating the monsters
abroad, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, so that's the nature of this market. It literally is the nature of this market. And so what happens is women don't get pissed off at other women creating NFTs of themselves, like a Belle Delphine, for example, because she's already grifting with, jars of bathwater. What they're pissed off at is they didn't think of it first. Is that somebody else came and did a screen cap of their picture and turned it into an NFT so that they can make some money off of it in their DAO.
Well, what it says is that the ultimate grift is almost acceptable in the business world. And that ultimate grift is something female, something feminine, certainly something sexualized. So a real scam artist is a couple of guys that want to do something that's female, like a couple of dudes that are behind some titty NFTs. And you think it's a hot chick or something.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, but think about it at the point is like, as we're going forward, especially like someone in my age group or Kevin's age group, like women are going to be looking around at men and being like, yeah, he'd probably pay for a picture of me. He'd probably do this. And like looking at men in a light where like, you can almost be ashamed to be a man in some sense when you like look at how other men around you are acting. And like, so that makes women look at you just at face value as a man. Sometimes if they have no idea who you are, think that you're like just some creep. Little like I'll just buy whatever, do whatever, as long as you just whatever I have to say to make you want to have sex. Here, just whatever you need. Just let me like touch your arm or some shit. Literally.
Yeah. Well, viewing us as customers,
as weak customers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That they can manipulate and bend. Literally.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll tell you what's I think is even a little bit more frustrating for a guy like me is like, then I have to go on like Patrick Bet-David show, or I've got to go on some other show. And that with guy, like for instance, like PBD is one, Elijah Schaefer, when I was on You Are Here, they asked me like, what's wrong with the kids today, Rolo? What's wrong with the guys today? Well, how come we have the Lost Boys generation? How come we have this generation of guys who don't want to do anything but like sit in mom's basement, jerk off to porn, play Call of Duty, and smoke weed and order food from Uber Eats, right? How come guys aren't manning up? How come they're not taking responsibility? Blah, blah, blah. And they have this that's a very particular definition or idea of like descriptors, let's just say, of those guys. And I what's going to happen now is the next time I'm on one of these shows and they ask me about that, I'm going to be thinking about this conversation that we're having right here. Oh, it's so much worse than that. Mm-hmm. It's so much worse than I wish they were just doing what you think that they're doing, but they're not. There's enough guys out there that they can up the price. What was that? Even Logan Paul, 270,000. And maybe he's doing that because he wants to make a quick buck. But the only reason he sees that as a good opportunity is because he knows the nature of this market, which is guys who are willing to go and do exactly what we've been talking about this whole show.